Joe Biden made even more unpleasant headlines for himself over the weekend when he nuzzled the Pope at the G7. G7 summit was in Italy. It was in Puglia, the heel of the boot of Italy. And he walks up to the Pope, who's now in a wheelchair, and he just nuzzles his forehead against his. And what's funny, you can see the leader of Argentina, Javier Milei, watches this happen, kind of recoils. He thinks it's a little bit weird. I have a very unpopular view. But look, you don't tune in to be flattered. I am not a flatterer, okay? You tune in to hear the truth unvarnished as I see it. So I'm going to tell you a view, even though it's deeply unpopular. I find Joe Biden's nuzzling of the Holy Father to be weird, for sure, improper. This is not how one should approach a pope. One should kneel and kiss the Pope's ring, a symbol that he is in the line of St. Peter, the fisherman's ring. He should do that. It's definitely exceedingly boomer. It's a very boomery, hippy-dippy kumbaya church kind of move to nuzzle the vicar of Christ. However, I found it kind of wholesome and endearing. De gustibus non disputandum est. I'm sorry. Joe Biden is in a state of grave mortal sin, it would appear. He is persistently opposed to key aspects of the faith. In his public role, he encourages infanticide. He denies the reality of marriage. He encourages. He is in a really bad way spiritually, so much so that even ostensibly liberal prelates of the church have called on him to repent and confess his sins and return to the conformity of the teaching of the religion that he ostensibly practices. So he's in a bad way, no doubt. I think the nuzzling of the Pope was probably sincere. I know people like this who were raised Catholic and they prefer another religion. They prefer the religion of liberalism. They probably took a lot of wrong conclusions from the Second Vatican Council and the liturgical tumult that followed the Second Vatican Council. And they think that dogmatic teachings and key aspects of doctrine and the magisterium are optional now. And so they kind of go along with the you do you Church of Liberalism, but who have nonetheless a deeply ingrained draw to the faith. And I believe Joe Biden sees the guy, he says, this is the vicar of Christ, and I just want to be near him. I just want to touch his garment, nuzzle his head in the weird Joe Biden way. And so it's not to say, okay, it's all happy and good. If you look at the expression on the Pope's face, he seems a little taken aback by the whole exchange, but I'll take it as a start. I really would like for Joe Biden to repent and stop promoting all the evil things that he's encouraging and, get right with the Lord and end up in heaven someday, probably sooner than later because he's about 150 years old. I would like that for him. I don't want Joe Biden to burn in hell. I don't want him to persist in all this grave sin that he's engaged in. And so if he still has some basic instinctual affection for the Pope, that's a start. I don't know. I find it a little bit wholesome. Sorry. I know it won't be a popular view. Now, you know what is popular? I'm happy to say, even with my controversial views, this channel has a lot of followers, and you should follow this channel by subscribing to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. Smash the bell, ring the like, ding dong the subscribe button, whatever you have to do. Now, speaking of the Pope himself made headlines and controversy over the weekend because it was reported that he said it's okay to laugh at God. It's okay to laugh at God, excuse me? What happened? He invited 100 comedians from 15 countries to, a comedian summit in Rome. It says, quote, "Divine wisdom practiced your art for the benefit of none other than God himself, the first spectator in history." He points out that God delighted in the works that he had made. "Remember this when you manage to bring intelligent smiles to the lips of even a single spectator, you also make God smile." This is a really beautiful and precisely worded statement. He's not saying when you bring buffoonish guffaws to people's mouths, you make God smile. Probably that does not make God smile. When you bring intelligent smiles to the lips of even a single spectator, you make God smile, because God has made the universe intelligible, and he has endowed us with intellect so that we can make sense to some degree of his creation. And that is a link between us and his creation. In intelligibility, in the beginning was the Word, the Logos, the divine logic of the universe, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then the Word becomes flesh and dwells among us, takes on humanity, a human nature, in addition to divine nature, and is an intermediary and an intercessor between us and God who is three distinct persons in one divine unity. Make sense of that. Good luck. It does make sense, but our limited capacity for reason means that there is more to life than just our own ideologies. When you can bring an intelligent smile, that's good. Francis says, this is what got him in trouble. It's okay to laugh at God. We play and joke with people we love. So I think what he's saying here is not that we should mock God. I think it could be sinful to laugh at God. But laughing is at very near to the heart of our human nature. Aristotle makes this point in Parts of Animals. Aristotle observes that man is the only animal that laughs. I have the quote somewhere here. Man alone is affected by tickling. This is Aristotle describing all these different parts of animals. I guess it's right there in the title. He says, man alone is affected by tickling. And this is due firstly to the delicacy of his skin. You know, we feel stuff. And secondly, to his being the only animal that laughs. So in the Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle points out there is a difference between the jocularity of the gentleman and that of the vulgarian. And this is why the Pope says an intelligent smile. You don't want it to be just a bunch of bawdy, disgusting, scatological jokes or something that a bunch of drunk ruffians are guffawing at. No, it's the jocularity of the gentleman. Because, another part of humor theory is that humor involves a declaration of superiority over the thing that we're joking about, which is viewed to be inferior. That would be obviously very sinful if we laughed at God in that way. But if you just laugh, I'm trying to think, have I ever laughed at God? Yes, in the sense that sometimes when a real jarring coincidence hits me, because there are no mere coincidences in the Christian view of the world, because the Christian view of the world is that history is governed by providence. So when a coincidence hits you, a real jarring one, I sometimes will look up at the sky and say, that was a good one. You got me. That's a good thing because one's relationship with God should be a relationship of love. And love has some levity to it. It's another great Chesterton. Chesterton has a great line on this. Chesterton says, alone among the animals, he is shaken with the beautiful madness called laughter. That's man. As if he had caught sight of some secret in the very shape of the universe hidden from the universe itself. Absolutely right. And that relationship can involve some levity. Chesterton also said, the angels can fly because they can take themselves lightly. That was a good clip. Now, hey, if you want more of them, you got to ring that bell. Ring it so you're subscribed to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel, and then you get all the clips. See you soon.